Mahalo nui. Let me go ahead and share there we go. Share what I need right now. Okay, perfect. Okay. Let me make sure I can see more people. All right. Aloha mai kākou o Amanda Nelson ko ʻoinoa no California mai au I kailua kona I Hawaiʻi I ai. My name is Amanda Nelson. I was born in California and moved to Hawaii Island when I was in third grade. I come to you from the Office of Curriculum and Instructional Design with the State of Hawaii's Department of Education. I currently reside on Oahu. I want to kind of just share a little bit more about my story before we get into today's conversation. I'm actually at a conference, it's like conference inception. I'm at another conference right now, and they asked us about our connection to place and one of the things that grounds us, and I thought it would be appropriate to share it here. So one of the things that grounds me in the work that I do in supporting advanced technology and education in Hawaii is that we moved to Hawaii when I was in third grade because my dad had muscular dystrophy, and the weather here allowed for him to be able to have a better quality of life. And one of the things that I learned from my dad growing up was how to use the technology that's accessible to us to be able to meet the needs that we have for ourselves. And so I learned technology through him adapting technology to meet the needs of his disability. And it just taught me that there's so many different ways that we have the potential to see technology, and especially when it comes to making sure that it's connected to things that matter to us and the people and places that matter to us. I just kind of wanted to start by sharing a little bit about that. I'm here at the STEM² Summit because I am a graduate of the STEM² program. I was in cohort 3, and so really grateful to be STEM²ing it up at the state office to the best of in my locus of control, and I'm excited to share about that today. So mahalo everyone for joining me for connecting with ʻEnehana, technology aligning place and community with AI. Hot topic, lots of things to discuss. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay. So with the Office of Curriculum Instructional Design, I come from the digital design team. Our team consists of folks who provide online courses for students within the department, computer science, library media, Project Inspire, which is professional development, course opportunities for educators for like reclassification, technology integration, which is like in-person professional development of technology that's provided to schools, and then ʻEnehana Holomua, or advancing technology. My responsibility is to help with ʻEnehana Holomua. So I'm going to start by sharing about our digital magazine publication, ʻEnehana. So maybe if I could just get like quick emoji show of hands if people have heard about our publication, ʻEnehana. Okay, awesome, perfect. Okay, so I think it's important for you folks to know kind of like where ʻEnehana came from. So when I moved to the state office, I came from Ke Kula Kaiopuni o Puʻohala. I was the tech coordinator and STEM teacher at Puʻohala School in Kaneohe. And what I realized was that teachers that I worked with previously at Puʻohala and other teachers across the state needed a resource where they could be able to get access to technology information on a regular basis that kind of was already kind of filtered through a lens of what is important for our Hawaii educators. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the chat, our bit.ly/ʻEnehana. So, and I apologize, I get very excited about these things, so I'm just gonna let it go. I want to walk you through some of the things that we've got going on with ʻEnehana. So if you're not familiar, ʻEnehana is a monthly publication. We just sent out our publication on Monday for June. So every month we share resources. So the idea is like I go through the tech updates with Google so that you don't have to. Anyone can subscribe. So please feel free to subscribe. If you're not familiar, I'm just gonna like go through some of these because it's so exciting. Our friends at STEMWorks, if you're not familiar with their lending library, it's available to teachers across the state to be able to support implementation with STEM. We've got new Google icons. We're collaborating with Hola Moana and Kamehameha schools for this next year to provide place-based resources related to the va'a. Oh, if you didn't know, we've got, actually, I'll show you on this other page here, but we do lots of different quick tech tips, information, so that you can feel, and stay up to date with some of the things that are happening with technology. This year, we are going to be focused for ʻEnehana on Google Workspace tools and supporting that, as well as Canva and Lucid. We'll talk about some of those in today's session. But if you didn't know, we've got these digital stickers. These are super fun. You can be able to use these for digital work with your kiddos. So you can copy and paste them really easily onto their work to kind of help make it a little bit more personalized. But I could go on and on. We have a new Google Spaces, which I'll also show you. So e holomua kako me ʻEnehana. So if you go ahead and join the Google Spaces, say that you're like, I want more than just a monthly subscription. We have our Google Spaces here that we just started, and it's been really cool kind of seeing different people reply. We had someone actually this morning from Konawaina High School share that they used the tutorial to be able to create a Konane game. And then we also had someone else do an interactive element with oh my gosh, with some data analysis. And so what we're trying to do is we're really trying to build a sense of like community when it comes to using these technologies. And so if you're interested, we would love to have you in the Google Spaces with us to be able to share and like to be able to see some of the other work that's happening in Hawaii, which is just fantastic. Oh my goodness. Why is it saying this publication is unavailable? So I say that to say that there are a lot of conversations that I'm going to be and things that I'm going to be sharing with you today, but the technology just keeps changing. And so that's where our monthly publication is important because things are ever evolving and we want to make sure that you stay apprised as to some of the different updates. And like I said, I could go on and on about some of the cool things that are happening with technology. So I'll go ahead and stop myself on that right now. Normally, if we were in person, I have these minions that I have. I just passed out all of my minions today, but we have these minions on sticks that say, hey, aha, or what? And today I'm going to be showing you some things that you may not have known that you can be able to do with the technology. And so what I'm going to ask of you folks is if you see something that makes you go, what? I didn't know that the technology could do that. Let me go ahead and find, where are those emojis? It's been a little minute since I've done stuff with Zoom, but maybe in the chat, if you could just type, what? If you're like, mind is blown, that would be fantastic. What we've found is that when people are expressing like that they didn't know something, it helps to build community. And a lot of the things that are happening right now with technology are changing so quickly. So some of the stuff I'm going to be showing you are things that like are brand new as of like last week. And even today, we've been experimenting with new things. It's fabulous. So in the conversation of aligning place and community with AI, just want to honor that we're going to have different degrees of comfort with the technology. So this is based off of the ʻAina Ulu growth cycle that's out of the Office of Hawaiian Education. So maybe with your technology journey, you're in the kupu phase where you're cultivating new shoots and the learning is young. And so maybe for you with technology learning, it's you just want to be able to know like, oh, this exists and I can be able to explore more about it. You may be in the Liko phase where you're able to nourish young buds to take shape and form. So there's enough understanding to be able to take in new concepts. You may be at the Pua stage where you can create new knowledge, meaning and or application, or you may be at the Hua stage where you can be able to really, maybe apply directly some of the things that we're going to go through today. If you're interested in kind of seeing what we have for ʻEnehana over this last year, we did have this page in our May edition. And so that is one that you can explore. Also, just want to share that if you're interested in seeing all of our editions, we have that on our website. If you'd like to subscribe, please click on the top banner to subscribe. We only email once a month. And then, yeah, we're just really trying to build our community that way. Okay. So one of the things that I think is important for us to acknowledge is that when it comes to artificial intelligence, I try to think about this quote of may your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. I think it's really easy to see a future where our culture and community and place and people are not moving in a direction that we want to see. And I think that it's really important for us to see different ways where the technology may be able to reflect our hope of what a future of education could look like. So in this example, I used Google Gemini Storybook. Can I just get a show of hands if you've tried to out the Gemini storybook. So Gemini storybook, I was able to create this story about this student in Hana, Maui, who's at a Kaiapuni school who wants to learn how to be a doctor. And so it's like it created a full storybook for me with the use of the Gemini AI tool that we have access to. And so when we're talking about what we want the technology to be able to do for us, we want it to be able to provide us with examples that are relevant for our kids and meaningful. And so this could be representation of how, you know, a student can see themselves in becoming like a doctor in their community. So for today's session, we're going to do two things. We're going to go ahead and go on a digital huaka'i, which I'll walk you through, and we'll do some activities together. And then after that, I'll show you some other like Hawaiʻi examples when it comes to use of AI. And then I'm hoping that we'll have some time because like literally we just discovered some stuff this morning that is so cool. But if you join the Google Spaces, I will be posting about it today. It is fabulous. Like I just cannot express how grateful I am for us being able to collaborate on these kinds of tools. Okay, so let's get started with our digital huaka'i. So if you're not familiar, and I'll go ahead and throw this specifically in the chat here. So in our January edition, we had the privilege of working with the Department of Land and Natural Resources. So we spoke with the DLNR folks, and they shared with us all of these different resources that they have available. And so this is in connection with Year of our Coastal Kuleana. So if you haven't seen it, oh my gosh, you should check it out. It's so wonderful. They have all of these free to Hawaii educator resources. If you fill out the form, they'll send your class posters and you can get water bottle stickers for your kiddos. They've got all of these wonderful resources. And one of the things that they also have are these virtual field trips. So I thought in the STEMS² universe that it would be good for us to explore and go on a virtual field trip together. So first I'm going to show you how to access the virtual field trip, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do as we're accessing the field trip. So on this page that I put in the chat of our edition, and I hear the pinging, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the chat again. What we'll do is we'll all go to this page, and then if you select Lehua Islet virtual field trip, that's going to take you to this virtual field trip experience. So the virtual field trip is of this islet that's off of the coast of Ni'ihau. I chose this one for this example as a virtual field trip because it's a place where we want our kids to virtually visit because they can't physically go visit that place because it's reserved for folks who are biologists who are studying the birds and the island there. And so for a few minutes, what I'm going to ask us to do is to use normally in person. I did this session at the Kamehameha Schools Conference in person, and so we did actual like physical sticky notes. But for the purposes of this, we are going to be documenting our experience going on this virtual field trip together with virtual sticky notes in Lucid. Lucid, if you're part of the department, Lucid is available for folks in the department to be able to use, but I set this up so anyone with the link can be able to open. And so what we're going to do in this space is use the sticky note feature. So over here on the left-hand side, I have my sticky notes, and we're going to click and drag the sticky notes in, and we're going to share about our experience on the virtual huaka'i. So one of the tips that we shared in ʻEnehana not too long ago was that now you can be able to put Chrome tabs side by side. So this is what I recommend you do, is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to right click on the tab here and add my tab to split view. And I'll show it again in just a second. So this way I can go through the virtual field trip and explore. And then I can write down my mana'o with the sticky notes right over here on the side. So I'm just going to go ahead and show that one more time. So I'm going to separate the views. So our goal right now is on the ʻEnehana page, you're going to open up the virtual field trip. I just want you to share your mana'o of what you're discovering on the field trip, what you're learning, kind of your observations of the place. You can have them side by side by adding the tab to split view here. And so we're going to collect our collective knowledge of the things that we're exploring with these sticky notes. Are there any questions right now? Okay, so what I'm going to do, maybe it'd be helpful is I'm going to make a frame here. And then if you don't know with Lucid, you can also add a quick tools. And so I'm going to put a sticky note bank here. So if you're having a hard time finding sticky notes, you can just go ahead and click and drag from the sticky note bank here, and then be able to add your mana'o from the virtual field trip. And then if you have any questions, please go ahead and throw it in the chat. I think maybe what I'll do is you folks can go ahead and go through this activity, go through the virtual field trip, and then I'll just do an example of a sticky note here. So I'm going to go through this here, and this is showing me crown flower. Okay, so maybe like I'm learning here that it's like a crown flower. Crown flower is commonly seen on Lehua and is not native. So go through the virtual experience, and we're just going to go ahead and jot down some different things that we notice or that we learn from this place. Okay, I'm seeing something in the chat. Yeah, yes, exactly. No. And then what we'll do is we'll show how the AI tool kind of supports this work. Awesome. Natural sounds from native birds. Love it. Oh, okay, great question. So if you're hearing a narrative overview, that's this link over here, the video overview. If you go and you kind of go to the bottom where it has the link, try out the Lehua Islet trip, that will have access to the interactive element. If you open up the video overview, that's where I kind of just give a general overview of the virtual field trip. So you can close that out and then be able to click on the Lehua Islet below. Thank you so much for that question. Okay, so we're going to take about 5 more minutes just adding in our observations and information on the sticky notes. The reason why we want to do that is because that's going to be some of the data that we use when we're using the AI tool in a few minutes. And then, yeah, then we'll reconnect. So one of the things that I'll say is when I do this activity in person, I bring chart paper and actually use sticky notes. And so what I really like about this activity is like, say that you're going on an actual field trip or learning journey with your kiddos out. I know, like the day yesterday, Waikoloa Loko Ia, you could bring chart paper, have the kids do sticky notes or jot down things, maybe not on sticky notes because sometimes the wind can be kind of nuts at Waikoloa. But if you jot it down on paper, you can be able to get the same information. So what we're trying to do right now is capture. I like seeing that there's like a combination of observations, like being in the place virtually. I like that there's a combination of things that you hear and different facts about the place or different place names that are brought to light with this. Okay, we're going to go ahead and so just take a couple minutes to be able to add in that mana'o. I'm going to just, while you folks are doing that, if you're already done putting your sticky notes on, I do want to show that there are other virtual field trips that are also available. So you can be able to see like Ho'olaniku. There's the Hua Islet, which is the one that we're exploring right now. But there's all of these other virtual field trips. So if you wanted to do this activity with students, like all of these virtual field trips are available, which is just like phenomenal. They do such a good job putting these together with the DLNR team. Okay, what I'm going to do is while we have our Lucid chartboard up on the right-hand side, I'm going to show you how I'm going to take the link to our publication. I'm going to go ahead and put in actually, let me go ahead and redo the view for here so that we can see it side by side. So I'm going to go ahead and separate the views here, and then I'm going to right-click on this presentation, add tab to new split view, and put the notes beside here. Okay. Because of the way that the technology is changing, the way that we communicate with it has changed too. If those of you were kind of here earlier, one of the things that we were talking story about was that I have a 2-year-old, and I think a lot about, what kind of skills I want her to have growing up. And one of the big things is like, I want her to be able to communicate in so many different ways, whether that be in ʻŌlelo Hawaiʻi or English or through drawing or through storytelling. And I think with artificial intelligence, we're starting to be able to capture a lot of that mana'o in ways that we couldn't previously. So mahalo for sharing your mana'o about what you noticed. What did you learn while on the field trip? Our next step for this activity, and feel free to keep adding sticky notes, is to figure out how might we leverage the tool NotebookLM to capture our experiences together on this virtual huaka'i. So I'm going to go ahead and separate these views. And in this tab over here, I'm going to open up notebooklm.google.com. Can I just get a show of hands real fast if you've played around with NotebookLM? Okay, perfect. So some people have. So with the Department of Education, the AI tools that staff members are able to use are through the Google Suite. So that includes both NotebookLM and Gemini. I'm going to go ahead and put notebooklm.google.com here in the chat. The reason why we're using NotebookLM is because we're able to create a notebook or like a set of specific resources that we want the AI tool to reference and pull from. And so we're going to create with a couple different things in mind. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead and synthesize everything that we put together in our sticky notes using NotebookLM so you can see what that experience is like. And then we're going to use NotebookLM to search for other resources to learn more about the islet. So I'm going to go ahead and for the purposes of this right now, I'm going to change in the settings so that oh my goodness, I have way too many things on my visual here. Oh, let's see. what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find where we can remove showing the authors, because otherwise the AI is going to pick up on all of those names. Sometimes that may be appropriate for the purposes of this. We don't need that information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of the elements that I want to keep, and I'm going to, and you folks can do this too, so we can all be able to do this together. So kind of like the phases I was showing you with, oh, hey, like maybe if you're at the pua phase and you want to try it yourself, you can. And so choose your own tech adventure. I'm going to go to export, and I'm going to export this as a PDF. So you'll see that I'm exporting it here, and I'm going to download that file. So now in my notebook, I can go ahead and drag and drop that PDF that I just created into NotebookLM. And then because I want to just give the notebook a little bit more context, I'm going to add some copied text, and I'm just going to say, our class went on a virtual field trip to Lehua Island. A lot of times in the demonstrations that I do, I try to keep the prompting a little bit on the simpler side. The reason for that is so that we can see that there's a low barrier of entry. If you were working on this at a little bit larger scale, then I would go through and make sure that the prompting is a little bit more robust. I think it's important to show, though, that even with a little bit of information, we can be able to get a lot out of this. So you can see these are the sources that the AI is going to be using. So we have our ʻEnehana sticky notes. So if you scroll down, it took the PDF and it put the information listed here. And then I have the context setting. So with this, I can be able to either chat with the materials that are provided, or I can use the studio tools. What are some key things that students noticed on this Hawaiʻi? What it's going to do is it's going to look at the resources provided and be able to provide some of those key thoughts. Compiling findings on observations, detailing bird and plant life. So this is showing it took the sticky note activity. Like I said, you could do this with students, like physically at a location with physical sticky notes and just take a picture and upload the image. But this shows some of the things that people were sharing in the sticky notes and kind of puts it in this form that allows for us to be able to contextualize as a class. So really cool. You can kind of go back and forth. Do we have any kaiopuni kumu in the room by chance? Okay. Regardless, I think it's just really cool to show. So if you go to the chat up here and you want to customize the experience, you can click on custom and you can say only show responses in ʻŌlelo Hawaiʻi and make the responses a third, or we'll do Papa Ekolu reading level. Actually, I'm going to modify it so that we can see it in English too. So give all responses in both English and ʻŌlelo Hawaiʻi and make the responses a Papa, so I'm going to do grade / Papa 3 reading level. So now if I ask it, what are some key things that students noticed on this Hawaiʻi? One of the things it's also taking into consideration is the custom prompting that I did for that chat environment. And so you can be able to customize that in whatever way you would like. As we're adding that over on the side, I want to show you, okay, so fast. Students noticed so many cool things on their virtual field trip to Lehua Island. Here are some key points. Manu, mea kanu, cool places, living there. And then it has the information, mako ʻŌlelo Hawaiʻi. Some of the stuff with ʻŌlelo Hawaiʻi, we're trying to figure out the best way to point the AI tool to be a little bit more accurate. If you subscribe to ʻEnehana, we will have more information about that in upcoming editions as well. So those are some of the things that we can do in this chat feature. Over here on the right-hand side with the studio tools, we can be able to do so many things. So we can do audio overview, slide deck, video overview, mind map. So I'm going to start by doing a data table. If you look all of this, then you can go for the data table. If you see the arrow, then that means you can customize it. And so for this purpose, I'm just going to go ahead and show you what it creates straight for the data table just based off of our sticky notes that we did together. I'm going to go ahead and have it generate an infographic. Like I said before, if you click on that arrow, you can see some of the different options for customizing that as well. We've got video overview, mind map, and all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the mind map here, and then I'll do the slide deck so we can take a look at that too. So you can see here, and this is, okay, so this is transformational for me. Like if I was back in the classroom, knowing that I could be able to have kids do work on paper, take a picture of it, upload it, and then have it make it into a spreadsheet for me is really, really significant. Here, I can also go and export that information to a Google Sheet. So I could be able to work off of it there as well. So this is really transformational. Some of these other ones, yes, mind blown, it's crazy. Some of these other ones that are going to be loading, I'm going to be sharing a little bit more context, and then we'll come back to after they're done loading. I do want to show you this Lehua mind map that was created. And like I said, I didn't give it any additional prompting. It just went ahead and created a mind map at a glance. So virtual voyage to Lehua Islet. And you can see that based off of the sticky notes that you folks were working on, it was able to categorize the information of the moli, socializing dance party, bill clacking and head bopping, present during winter and spring. And so bird sounds, loud night lullabies, babies sound like crying. So the observations that you folks made on our virtual huaka'i, or that kids can make, you know, the kilo that they do in person huaka'i can really be captured and organized in a way that's really easy to synthesize using this technology. So while those are generating, we're going to go ahead and add in some additional context. And then after that, we'll generate a few more things. And then I wanted to share a little bit more about some of the ethical implications of AI use in our communities. So before we generate anything more, I want to add additional context to this notebook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search the web for new sources. So I'm going to say, and this one, okay, we shared about this in our last edition of ʻEnehana, an example with Hua Pala Pala, where we prompted, I'm just going to throw the link in the chat if you're interested in it. Going through the same process, we prompted saying, pull resources, songs connected to Kaneohe from the database of huapalapala.org. And so that's what's really fantastic about this is now we can be able to say, we've got these wonderful databases with Ike. How might we point the AI in a direction that allows for us to have that information synthesized in a way that's meaningful for us? So I'm going to say, search the Hawaii DLNR website for additional information about Lehua Islet. And I'm using the fast research. So what it's doing now is it's researching the websites so that I can be able to take a look at the sources that are being brought into the environment. So you can see here it has the icon for DLNR. And so if I want to, I can go ahead and click on the arrow and be able to actually see the resources that it provided. So I can make sure that the content is from an accurate, reliable source. And so say that all of these look good to me, I can go ahead and import them so that they supplement the sticky notes that we did on our journey together. And so now I'm going to go ahead and regenerate the slide deck and the infographic so we can see a side-by-side comparison of what the output looks like when we have those additional DLNR resources. So before I get moving into the rest of our presentation, it looks like the infographic loaded. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up here. So this is just based off of the sticky note activity that we did together. If you look in our May edition of ʻEnehana, or no, sorry, in our April edition of ʻEnehana, we have details about how you can be able to edit all of the, or I'm so sorry. Yes, in our April edition of ʻEnehana, we have tutorials on how you can be able to edit the results from an infographic like this. So say that there is information from it that is not accurate or the text needs to be changed, that is possible. But pretty incredible for like this, we went from sticky note activity to this, and there's things about it that maybe we want to tweak to make it a little bit more improved, but like it's pretty incredible for a starting point here. Okay, so while the rest of our stuff loads, don't want to waste time, so we're going to jump back to our presentation. If you're interested in kind of seeing this in action, we do have our sticky notes to studio tools page that we shared in January. So if you're like, Amanda, I'm feeling overwhelmed, don't worry, I recorded a video that's on this page that you can view that go through this process. And this one I did with actual physical sticky notes. So I just put things that my fifth grade students in the past were interested in, and then I generated the infographic, and this is what it created. What blew my mind, and this is what I was testing, is if you look down here, I drew a picture of a cat, and when I put in the table, it said no content, cat face, content type, drawing, and it just like blew my mind. We've also tested this where we've had like some sticky notes, mako ʻōlelo Hawaiʻi, some in English, and it's able to process both of them, which is from what we've tested, which is awesome as well. One of the things that I kind of want to speak to, which, okay, normally there's a song. We're not doing the song because it's not in person. So yeah. But if you come to one of my in-person trainings at some point, sometimes we sing the Count on Change song. But the point of it is that tech is supposed to evolve and change. And so, but we get to decide how we want to use it as it's changing and evolving. One of the things that I'm trying to live into is this digital inquiry guide as we're learning about technology in ʻEnehana over the next year. So the idea is, how might we learn about technology as a language? So I think that first we need to orient ourselves. We need to be aware of the tech landscape. In the past, that landscape wouldn't change as frequently as it does now. Now you open up NotebookLM, every time I go in there, it feels like there's a new feature. So every time I go into these tools, I have to reorient myself. Then I see what I can create with the tools. Then I see how I might enhance that work and how I might share it. And so this guide is meant to help support you as a learner with technology, and we're really excited to have it in upcoming publications this year. In order for this to make sense, we need to make sure that it works with all technology. So when I think about the local i'a, specifically Waikalua local i'a, first you want to orient yourself. You want to be aware of the place. You want to kilo. You want to talk story with people who are familiar with the place. Go walk on the kuapa and really be connected. Then you want to see what you can create. How might you be able to create environments that are, helpful for the i'a or for the limu in the environment. Then enhance. How might we see things of technologies that are connected? How is the lo'ikalo upstream impacting the vai that comes down to the local i'a? And how might we share? How might we share resources that come from the local i'a or knowledge that comes from this technology? Same thing with the technology we use like NotebookLM. First, we want to orient ourselves, understanding where we can add our sources, where we can have the chat, where we can do the studio tools. And we want to see what we can create. How do we customize in studio? How do we customize our chat? Then we want to enhance, right? And that's what we did today, is we took the Lucid Spark work and we enhanced it by leveraging these tools together. I think one of the challenges we're facing right now is that these technologies are not, the companies that produce these technologies are not incentivized to provide us with tutorials that are integrated. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to do with ʻEnehana is we have access to tools that can work together. So how do we find and build that purina? And then sharing, how do we share these wonderful resources so that they can be able to make meaning in our communities? So I thought we would take a couple moments to orient ourselves with AI, as we're using AI in the background with our notebook to build things. So there's this AI little tool. It got discontinued temporarily. I'm going to try and rebuild it, but it's called Explain Lots of Things with Tiny Cats. So I put in the chat, explain how generative AI works to educators. So I'm going to go ahead and read it in my best kindergarten teacher voice. Okay, so here's how generative AI works for educators using a fun cat story. I will generate a cute minimal illustration for each short sentence with black ink on a white background. Imagine a giant box. This box is filled with millions of tiny cats. Each cat is a tiny piece of information. Some cats are fluffy, some cats are stripy, some cats meow loudly. You ask the box for a story about a sleepy cat. The AI looks at all the cats. It finds the cats that know about Sleepy. It finds the cats that know about stories, and it puts some cats together in a new way. I'm going to just go ahead and put quotes around that. New way. That's debatable. It makes a brand new story about a sleepy cat. The AI learns from all the cat information. The more you ask, the better it gets at making new things. It's like having a box of endless creative cats. So while predictive AI, which is what we've been seeing for a long time now with like Google search, it'll kind of predict what I'm going to be looking for next. So while predictive AI focuses on predicting a specific label or outcome, generative AI focuses on creating new content that is meaningful within a given context. And so I think it's really important for us to kind of understand that it's like sometimes we ask the AI to do things, and part of the reason why it hallucinates or makes information up is because its job is to create new things. And I think especially when we're talking about ʻAina and place, just keep in mind that we can be able to, its job is to create new things. And a lot of times in the context that we work in, we don't want it creating new things. So one of the things that we're going to be showing is negative prompting. So is anybody familiar with the idea of negative prompting? Okay. So it's the idea that you could tell the AI what you don't want it to do. So you could say, I want you to create a presentation about Waikoloa. I don't want you to pull from sources that are not on the Pacific American Foundation website. And so what we're learning is with this new technology is how might we understand that it's taking all of these pieces from different places and make sure that it's doing that in a way that represents what we're looking for as a community. So there's two concepts I kind of want to speak to with that. A lot of times people hear the term humans in the loop, and that's been like the main phrase that's been thrown around. Humans in the loop, humans in the loop. And humans in the loop is important. So how might humans be involved in an AI-driven process? What I encourage us to think about, especially from a STEM² mindset, is how might we really think about AI in our loop? So how might AI be part of my human process, of your human process, where the AI is not leading the charge, but it's something that's supporting the work? So in the Count on Change song that I normally sing out loud, like I said, I was like, I'm not going to do that today because yeah, but it's a cover of Count on Me by Bruno Mars. So the way that I used AI for that and I was told, okay, Amanda, you got to give a presentation on AI tomorrow to these people. And I was like, okay, well, I want it to be engaging. So in my car, I pulled up Gemini and I said, hey, Gemini, I want to do a cover of a song related to changing as technology. And it said, okay, you could do Took a Little Star. You could do all of these different songs. And I was like, no, I want it to be something connected to Hawaii. And it was like, what about Bruno Mars? So great. Gave me a list of songs. I picked Count on Me. We started going through it. I said, I want you to give me lines of the song, and then I'm going to go ahead and give you back what I want the words to be translated to. And and we went back and forth, and then I ran out of ideas. So then I said, okay, you make up a line in the song. And it said something that was terrible. And I was like, this is trash. I don't want this. This is not what I'm looking for. So I turned off the AI, just listened to the song. And then when I got to the office, I was able to like work with the AI and start to build it again. But my point of that is it's like I was leading the charge of what we were doing, and the AI was assisting me. And when the AI stopped being able to assist me, I said, let's pause on that. And I'm going to just go ahead and work on this on my own. And so AI was not the driver of that. And I think it's important to acknowledge that and for us to talk about these processes, because with AI, the human becomes even more important. Understanding our communities, how we learn, our experiences, our biases, our time, and what we value. So understanding what we value. When my daughter was born, I asked my family members who came to visit her to write her a letter to say, welcome to the world. So nice to meet you. And one of my family members, they wrote the letter to me and to give so I can hold on to it for my daughter for later on. And they said that they used ChatGPT to help them write the letter. And I was really upset, like very, really, very, all the upset. So I had all of the big feelings of, I can't believe that AI was used to write this letter that was supposed to be so special. And I sat with it for about a month. And after about a month, I was thinking about it. I was like, this person had a hard time being able to express themselves, especially through writing, those types of feelings. And they believed everything that was written in that letter. But the AI was able to bring something out of them that previously they maybe didn't have that wasn't the way that they normally would express themselves. And it made me realize like the tool is so vast where it's like we can be able to go from 0 to 100 so much faster. And so it made me really realize that the intentionality behind it matters. So for me, if you received a letter from me that was AI generated in that context, it may speak to it not being as meaningful. But if you received an image from me that was AI generated, for me, I might have put a lot of effort into generating that with AI because I don't have the visual art skills to be able to produce that. And so what it taught me is that it's like there's different, the way that we use these tools is really impacted by like what we value and understanding we value. And I think it really also comes down to like things like place, like how might we be able to understand like and have these critical conversations of when is it appropriate to use AI when it comes to place? When is it not appropriate to use AI when it comes to place? And so like, for example, one of the things that we're trying to explore is like, how might we generate imagery of places? Like you generate around imagery of places and those images of the place are accurate and inputted by humans because we don't want to make up places that don't exist. And so that's where it's like AI is part of our process with that. Understanding our time. One of the things that I've been trying to kind of push is this idea of AI can save us a lot of time. And so it's like, how might we save time on certain things with AI or with these technologies so that we can spend time? So kind of to the point of today's example, we were able to spend time going through and doing an activity where we did virtual sticky notes together because I knew I could save time on the development of the synthesis of that information. And understanding our community. I think there's going to be, a lot where it's like we say, okay, we're going to put a lesson plan or unit plan into AI and be like, connect it to Naho Pena A'o. And if we don't understand Naho Pena A'o, then we can't evaluate the results of what the AI produces. And so it's even more so important that we understand our community and understanding our biases. And I think this is why it's really important for us to communicate when we're using AI so that we can work together as communities to say, this is where the AI may be lacking, the results from the AI may be lacking in perspectives that are important. I kind of go back to this definition of ethical use is our ability to keep the technology ethical is contingent on our competencies with ethics. And if we want to be effective users of technology, we have to build our competencies with ethics so that we can be critical of the technology. I'm going to go ahead and just go through, I'm going to pass some of these slides because I want to be mindful of our time. Oh no, it looks like they removed that PDF. I'll have to go ahead and upload the copy I have on my laptop. But when it comes to the use of AI as it relates to place, culture, and community, it's important for us to be intentional about who may be leading the loop. So I encourage you to think about those loops and processes where you're using the technology and think about how might AI support the experiences that are meaningful to our sense of place and community. Yes, so I think that comment of we want to emphasize, we want students to be drivers of the interactions with AI, not passive recipients of the tech. And I think that applies to technology across the board as well. Oh, great question. Let me go ahead and I will go ahead and link the DOE policies when it comes to AI as well and be able to put that in the chat too. Thank you for asking about that. So right now, let me go ahead and show you the results from the NotebookLM, and then I'll show you our DOE policies on AI. And then I want to show you a couple more examples. I know we've got like 8 minutes. Is that correct, Jamie? Are we good until 12:20? Okay, fantastic. So this is the presentation that was created based off of the sticky notes that you folks had put together. Like I said, there are things with this, like I want to show you real life, real time, what it produces, and then that's where we can be able to assess, is this reflecting the information accurately? But it's pretty It's pretty incredible. And I really like that it actually has the sticky notes. Yeah, it's pretty incredible how it's able to synthesize that information. I mean, like we're doing all of this live, like it's pretty incredible. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the example where it has the additional source materials. I can know that because it says view 12 sources. So this also took into consideration all of the resources from DLNR. So you can see that it has much more contextual knowledge based off of the additional resources. So I wanted to show this to show like kind of what it looks like with just our sticky notes and then what it looks like with that additional information as well. But I mean, like it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's been blowing my mind. Okay, so I do want to show you, and we have this in, does university facility have access to the sites or only the DOE? It's a great question. So all of the stuff DLNR, I know for sure is open for anyone to view. We also intentionally made it so our ʻEnehana publications are all available to anyone can be able to access them. So we have subscribers from UH systems, private schools in Hawaii, charter schools in Hawaii, as well as folks on the continent. 5 more minutes, perfect. So in all of our editions of ʻEnehana for the past year, we have links to our AI guidance. So I want to make sure that I point that out. Mahalo for that question. So I'm going to go ahead and put that directly in the chat. So this is our Haido provided AI programs for staff, as well as AI guidance for staff and students. And then we have information about and guidance for schools when it comes to AI implementation. So this is the AI website that has information context about artificial intelligence, as well as AI guidance in the department for staff, for students, and for administrators. And for administrators, there's this AI readiness toolkit that helps a school site to be able to know, like, do we want to be adopting these specific technologies with our kiddos? And so those are larger conversations, but these are the Haido provided AI programs for staff. So Gemini for Google Workspace, for Google Classroom and NotebookLM. And then in ʻEnehana, we share information about Gemini and NotebookLM in all of our editions. So in the second section, which really I already kind of spoke to, is different examples of different, so there's lots of other different examples of how we can be able to use these different tools related to place. And I'm going to go ahead, and even like some of these things are starting to change. So in the slide presentation, which I'm going to go ahead and throw in the chat again, you'll be able to see more information in these links. So we have different examples of ʻŌlelo Hawaiʻi games that we created with Gemini, how we can be able to share those with students. And then we're really excited. We're going to be working with Waiahole Elementary School to have specific examples of what it looks like to implement place-based connected AI tools over the fall semester. But what I wanted to show with this is that with the same prompt, it produced these 3 different posters. One tip that we've shared before, but that I just want to share that's really important, is when you're prompting with AI, one of the things you can do is say, look up images of Waiahole Elementary School first, then generate the imagery. And that's what you can see here. Create a poster that shows students at Waiahole Elementary School that says Makahana Ka'ike. Look up photos of Waiahole before creating the poster. And it was really cool. We did this live at Waiahole and the teachers were like, that's my classroom. Because it actually like pulled images of the school. And so all of this is Makahana Ka'ike, learning by doing. So we're testing it out, drawing pictures, uploading it, seeing how the AI takes that too. And then just something to also keep in mind is that you can also prompt for it to look up things related to Hawaii context before generating. So on the left, we did not prompt to look up images of Na'ali'i prior to generating. And then on the right-hand side, we said, look up images of Na'ali'i prior to generating. And you can see that the results of that were vastly different. And so we're going to be having more information about that soon. Other helpful tech tips: if you're teacher planning over the summer, this bulk create resources with Canva and Gemini, that will be your best friend. essentially you can be able to bulk create presentations. We've got full tutorial on how to go through it. So like say that you're like, I want to map out everything, super easy. But the bottom line is we just have so many tips that we're excited to share with you. And so a lot of this presentation is a plug for our publication because things keep changing. So just want to say mahalo. If you have any questions, feel free to add it to the chat. If I don't get it to you right now at this time, I'm happy to get back to you. If you haven't subscribed to ʻEnehana, we would really, really appreciate it. It helps for us to build our community. And I'm going to go ahead and just throw that Google form link in the chat as well. If you have any questions, please let me know. And yeah, we've got some really exciting things. Is there a resource with all these links in one space? So for all of the links that we went through today, that's a great question. I would be happy to put something like that together and then for that to be shared out with folks. Have you developed any resources for teacher educators? So sometimes I have been brought in to help provide PD about ʻEnehana with teacher educators. We also have been working with our teacher induction team of providing support for new teachers specifically. And our new teacher induction team is also working on providing specific tech PD opportunities and after school like sessions. If you are a employee of the department, you can go into this Google Spaces like I shared earlier. But all of the resources that I shared with you today are on our ʻEnehana site. You can also be able to search for content if it's easier to do that on our search page here. We're constantly just, it's all Makahana Kihike, it's all been feedback. So if you're like, hey Linda, we'd love to see stuff like this, please let me know. And then also if you have information that you would like to share. Okay, perfect. Yes, I can do a link list. So anything that's in ʻEnehana itself, you folks will be able to, most people will be able to access. And then if you're like, hey, I'm working on a project and I'd like to share about it, we have a link to a Google form on our homepage where you can share what amazing tech stuff you're doing in our publication as well. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Jamie Lum. Thank you so much for having me today. Oh yes, I will be at the AI Education Summit in July. We're doing 3 sessions. Yes, it's going to be great.